there, friends and sane persons, and welcome back to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. My name is Kyle, and Wednesday Whimsy is a short show that I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game, a top 10 list, some sort of board gamey related topic, or whatever else that happens to be on my mind at the time. Well, I'll tell you, there's something that's been on my mind a lot lately. Actually, two great games have arrived recently, and I was debating which order to talk about them, but I've made it farther into one than the other, so that's the order I'm going to go in. A long time ago, longer now than it seems, there was a GameFound campaign from Awakened Realms, who does big, complicated games, for a game called Dragon Eclipse. And, well, Dragon Eclipse has finally arrived. You'll see it is in this enormous box. So it's not easy to hold up even. And this is the full box because I've had to put it away to bring it downstairs because I was playing something else upstairs. Anyway, Dragon Eclipse is a new game from Awakened Realms, one I was very excited for. I'd almost forgotten how excited I was until it came out, and I got it to the table pretty soon after I got it, and just played it again and again and again for several days. So, let me tell you a little bit more about it, and I'll tell you what I think. Oops, I don't know why I said Brion. I have the wrong, well, you saw nothing. Let me find my regular banners. Here we go. So, what is it about? Well, Dragon Eclipse tries very hard to be legally distinct from Pokemon, but that's really what this is. You are a trainer, a tamer, excuse me, and you are going around this world on an adventure. And there's you start the game with one particular mistling, they are called, and as you venture forth across your adventure, you're going to find others, and you'll encounter them, and you'll play a little battle game with them, a battle on a map, and it's possible that you can tame the various mistlings that you encounter, and then you can use them yourself. There are 6 different types for 6 different elements. There's water, air, fire, plants, I guess maybe that's earth, light, and dark. And yeah, so you're going to be doing that. Now you're going through a story. This is a campaign game, and interestingly enough, this is a campaign game that is designed primarily for one player. So you're going to be going through this story, and the story involves there are some dragon guardians, and there was an eclipse long ago of the 2 moons, and now they're sort of lining up for an eclipse again. And you're trying to figure out what's going on, and honestly, I have not completed the story yet, so I don't know all about what's going on, but I've made it far enough in to really understand what's going on in the game, and that's why I'm ready to talk about it. I think you play across about 10 sessions, and I think I've played 8 of the 10. So that's kind of what it's about. You're just sort of trying to be the very best, like no one ever was, and you're trying to catch as many of these mistlings as you can and fill up your mistling binder, totally not a Pokedex, with information about them. And also solve whatever the overarching story is of the campaign. So let's talk about how the game works. And let me share over to the other window, which will have pictures here. There we go. This should be sharing. There we go. So the game really has 2 main halves, I guess. But they blend together. One half of the game, you're going to be going through a storybook, and I don't seem to see a picture of the storybook, unfortunately. But the storybook is really a choose-your-own-adventure type of a story where you're going to go through it, and you will, well, it's just a picture of a book when I find it. You're going to go through it, and you're going to be making decisions. And so, you'll open this map, and then the map will have maybe 10 locations on it, and the locations will correspond to stories. So you'll go and visit a location. Maybe it's A3. You open to A3, it gives you some story, and then it gives you some choices. You go into a building, you see a broken machine. What do you want to do? Leave, fix it, get your own mistling to help you fix it, and then there'll be some sort of results based upon what you do. There's a test system where you're going to be drawing cards from your item deck, and they have symbols on the side, and you're trying to get to certain numbers, but there are also these negative symbols, and so you're trying to get to certain thresholds, and it's sort of a push your luck thing. You can kind of get to a minimum pass level, or you can go for kind of the optimal level by pushing your luck a little bit. And, you're just going to keep going through this. You're going to do some story stuff, interact with people. Eventually, there's a timer to the game, and so after a certain number of turns, it'll say, all right, exploration's done, time to move on to this thing. This thing happens. As you visit places, you might get keywords. There's a large kind of keyword sheet, and you'll mark them off. It'll say, gain understanding level 2. And so you'll cross off the 2. And then later on, it might say, if you have understanding 2 and 7, this happens. You'll go to entry 5, and if you don't have them, then go to entry 3, or, however that works. And so that is, excuse me, every play session is going to be about 60% in the storybook. Just going through, reading it, and having your adventure, and documenting your progress. And then the other 40% or so, and they vary from adventure to adventure, is going to be encountering a misling. And so it'll say, all right, set up this encounter. Pull out map 2 and arena card 17, and then you'll do that. And this one is set up for 2 players, and but you can also do it set up for 1 player. It'll tell you what misling is coming in, and looks like it's this one actually. But so some misling is coming in, and there'll be a card that shows you the things that it can do, and it'll also tell you how to set up its attack deck. I'm wondering if I can find a 1-player version, because that's a little bit less cluttered. Well, probably not. But those look nice. I wish I'd gotten painted ones. Anyway, there'll be a book, and the book will, there's a map, and then it'll tell you how to set up the misling's deck, and that misling deck is going to sort of tell you how it attacks. And on the card, on the misling's card, it will tell you there's 3 types of cards. There's kind of a circle-y symbol, a square-y symbol, and a triangle-y symbol. And you'll always see which one's coming, so you can prepare for it. And you'll say, okay, triangle, it's move 3 and attack with a +1. And so you'll be able to see what that is, what's coming, and then you have a deck of 16 cards. And these cards are going to be, in a draw deck, and you're going to lay out 4 of them on these slots here. And on your turn, you must activate a card. When you activate it, you're going to get the essence that's written above it, so the longer serving cards are going to be a little bit better for you. You're going to do what it says, and there's often, sometimes in this one, is a special ability, so it goes into your discard pile. This ability becomes active. The gems themselves are going to let you activate other special abilities. Each misling has kind of its own separate, it's got an elemental attack, a bonus action, and then a special ability. So this one is 3 Steel Breath, which is to deal silence in range 2, or range 3. So, you've got that action you can do, and you'll have to spend a certain number of these tokens. It looks like this one's 3. You can also do an extra bonus move, or you can kind of discard cards to make better ones hopefully come out. There's a lot of different things you can do as a result of your turn. And the misling is going to each one has its own life value. And if you're able to completely reduce its life to 0, you win the scenario. But, and very importantly, you can always win a scenario, or, lose a scenario, but you can also sometimes try and tame the misling. And it's going to have a little card, which I just can't seem to find. But like this, it's over here. You can kind of see it on the side. I don't think I'll be able to zoom in very well. But it's going to be a 2, 3, sometimes 4-step process where if you do certain things, reduce its health to a certain level, make certain moves, you use a certain number of special abilities, you're going to be able to tame that misling, which is going to lead you to a different kind of result of the fight, but really almost always means that you'll add it to your sort of stable of mislings. You only get to take 2 into any particular adventure, but you can swap them out between the scenarios. And that's kind of how the battle works. I believe it is also possible to play a head-to-head battle using kind of those same results or those same rules. I've not yet tried that, but I think that would be a lot of fun. I don't think playing this game 2-player through the story mode is going to be all that interesting. just because it's just kind of one person playing and another person along for the ride. But I think the two-player kind of head-to-head battle might be worth your time. Anyway, you're going to keep doing some kind of combination of those things. It's going to be, story, 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 set up a battle, go back to the story, 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 battle, story, story, story. Eventually, you'll get to a heading that says, congratulations, you've completed the scenario. In most cases, it will tell you to open a bonus pack. There's these foil packs of cards that you can open, and and they have new cards that you can add to your deck or add to your sort of pool of cards. And at the start of each scenario, you can redesign your kind of custom misling deck of 16 cards using cards of your own particular element and then some custom cards and some neutral ones. It's a pretty easy system actually to sort of swap stuff in and out because it's only a deck of 16 and you sort of think, okay, what am I going to need this time? Do I want to have a lot of healing? Do I want to have a lot of damage? Whatever it happens to be. And that's kind of how it works. So let's talk about my thoughts on the game. First of all, well, what makes the game special? Well, first of all, I mean, like I mentioned, it is trying very hard to be legally distinct from Pokemon, but it has kind of that same flavor if you enjoyed the Pokemon video games or the TV show. It's not really like the card game, but it has kind of all of those beats. There's sort of, your loyal misling that you're nurturing, and then others that you can fight and eventually catch and use yourself. Also, most of them have a kind of a bonus quest that they're trying to do. It may be a story-based quest, like, take this misling to a library, or it might say, likes to read dank books or whatever, whatever it happens to be. Or it could be a battle quest where you're trying to do specific things in a battle, like avoid getting hit for 3 turns in a row, and then, finish the battle before you actually do get hit. Things like that. And when you complete those quests, it's going to upgrade the misling in some way. Usually it'll flip over. You've got a kind of a replacement set of stats, but sometimes it'll give you different special abilities. A lot of different things that can happen. So that sort of evolution theme is there too. Really, that part is a lot of fun. If you're looking for Pokemon in a game that's not the Pokemon trading card game, this is really the best imitation of it that you can have. It'll give you that kind of a feel, especially those battles. They're really fun. They're tactical, but you've got a lot of information. You always kind of feel like you're in control. And then often the challenge in them comes from, am I going to go for the more complicated specific set of steps to tame this misling, or am I just going to beat it, right? I've got this Emberling now that's fully leveled up, and it can just do crazy amounts of damage. It can burn through the health of just about anything, but if you kill the misling, then obviously you don't get to tame it. So, I'm kind of like, do I want to build my stable, or do I want to just blaze through? And I think that sort of thematic aspect is a lot of fun. The story is also pretty good. I've enjoyed the story so far. There's enough kind of beats and different paths you can go down. You're not, in the first scenario or two, you are kind of on rails, but after that it really opens up, at least so far it has for me, and you can kind of, go to different things, try different things. I've seen areas where I'm sure that they would have different conclusions based upon choices that I've made, and it's interesting enough, right? I don't know enough about the world to really care about these characters, but I'm enjoying the story. It's also so Awakened Realms games have a reputation for being a little overwrought and having lots of rules, and this one doesn't really. I actually have found that the rules overhead's pretty light, and it has an excellent learn to play scenario. Now, interestingly enough, it says, setting up the unboxing, plan for 30 to 40 minutes, and it really did take that long. It was a very long process. But once you go through that detailed instructions, it'll sort of pull you out, have you walk through a scenario, walk through a battle, kind of, figure out how things go. And I haven't really had to reference the rule book a whole lot, other than for a couple of, little rules that come up. And it'll say, be sure and reference these rules before you start the scenario. I also like that each scenario, it gives you a hint. It'll say, fire misling would be really good in this scenario. You don't have to take one, but sometimes if it suggests you do it and you have one, well, why not, right? But there may be other things you're going for. You might be trying to level up a particular misling or want to just try something new. So you can take or leave the advice. I found the story to be interesting. I found the gameplay to be pretty simple and easy to handle. The deck building's fun, and the theme is really good. So where's the but? And there are a couple of buts. One, each play session is really quite long because you're constantly, it's not like set up and play 3 battles. It's, read this and do you have this symbol or this status? No. Okay, well, I better go back and find it. And then it's, come back here and do this then. And so some parts of that can get a little on the long side. It's not a game to set up if you've only got 20 minutes. You're looking at an hour to 2 for each session, and that is playing it solo. Secondly, it is a solo game, right? This is designed to be a solo game. You could bring along a companion if you'd like, but it's not a game for more than 1 or eventually 2. Now, I like solo games. I can always find someone to play them with. And I'm enjoying the solo campaign. I could see myself maybe playing it again, but definitely after that, going back and just saying, all right, now we're going to play it 2-player and just do the battles. There's also a roguelike mode that I have not really looked into because it says you can't use it during the campaign. So I'm going to finish the campaign first, and I will be finishing it, and then sort of experiment with those other kind of methods to see what else I can enjoy about it. I think the campaign's replayable, but it's long. You're looking at a lot of time commitment. The box is huge, and the cards are nicely organized, with dividers and things. That's a good thing. But just be prepared that this is a big game that will take a lot of time. Another thing that bothers me just a little is you cannot lose the game. In fact, the rules say it's impossible to lose a scenario. You just progress when you get to the end. Now, you can win better or win worse, but if you're looking for sort of a win-loss condition, you really won't have it here. Unless you could call a lost battle a loss, I guess. Or if you sort of set it up and play just, random battles, you could have those be win-loss scenarios. But for the kind of story campaign so far, impossible to lose. Also, sometimes random things can happen. Like, there's a valuable resource called Essence that I had been meticulously saving up. And it's good because if ever you fight a Pokemon, a Mistling, and don't tame it, it goes into sort of a random encounters deck, and you might be able to tame it again. But also, you can go to some bonus areas between scenarios and pay this Essence resource to get some. And so I was saving it up, and I had the maximum amount I could have. And then I went through the story, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll do this path. And that path said, get this, lose all your essence. And I'm like, well, that sucks, right? If I'd known that, I would have gone and spent it before. And so there's some kind of random weirdness to the game like that there's really no way that you would know about it. No, I mean, even from the story, there weren't any hints that kind of thing would happen. But random bad stuff can happen. Again, I'm playing it as a story. I'm just going along for the ride, so it's okay. But I find that kind of thing a little bit annoying. And I wish there were a win-loss condition. One other thing is, when you're playing the game, you switch back and forth between set up an arena or set up the map book and play through the story. And that's a lot of kind of work, right? It's not like you could just pre-set up the arenas and go. It's not hard, but it's annoying to sort of say, okay, all right, well, I got to remember where I was. I'll set this book aside, pull this one out, get everything set up, and then when I'm done, I'll put all that stuff away. And so there's kind of a little bit of upkeep that's not very much fun in the scenarios. And I don't know. So where do I stand on it? Well, my rating on this is high. I really am enjoying it. I love the Pokemon theme. I do. I love I'm liking the story, and I think the combat, the sort of, when you get into a fight, is really quite interesting. For me, it's a 9 out of 10. There are some negatives. And they really do hold it back. There's some things that kind of, this feels like the kind of game I would really, really love. I think maybe if they came out with another two campaigns, with more story to go through, and maybe they were a little bit shorter, that might breathe some extra life into it, might take it up. But as it is right now, I'm really enjoying it. I go to bed at night after playing it, and I kind of wake up in the morning thinking, do I have time to play through half of a scenario before I go to the office? And that's the sign of a game that I really enjoy. It's not going to be for everyone, especially if you've got a big family or a big play group. Obviously, a 1 to 2 player game is going to be not the best fit. Also, it's a huge box for a solo game. I'll just say that. I mean, I say that, and I can see Final Girl in 3 huge boxes out of the corner of my eye. So there's some hypocrisy there. But just be aware that this is really going to be for people who want to play it solo or who have one friend who really likes cooperative games and is along for the ride. But for me, it's a 9 out of 10. I hope more will come out of it. I think it's well designed. I think there's a lot to love here. And it's definitely so far the best big Awaken Realm game in terms of what people can get into easily. And I think they've learned a lot from games like Tainted Grail, which I love, but is super complicated. This one, they said, what if we didn't make it so complicated? And I think that's a good question to ask. Anyway, I've enjoyed my journey through this world of the Dragon Eclipse. I hope you will too. And I'm going to wish you safe travels and courage when you need it. And I hope that I will see you back again soon for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.